Hey everybody, it's Michelle Henshaw here. Now, already this year, I've had a couple of conversations with clients and one with a potential client that have thrown up a theme, a very common theme. And so I thought I would share some big tips around this with you. And I've called this little session, this little video, I've called it Scale and Polish, because this is one of my predictions for this year and beyond as well. But also it's, I think it's just really pertinent because this theme has come up with a few people I've spoken to recently. And, I work primarily with people who've already been in business a while. Not all, some are startups, but primarily it's people who've been in business a while, it's kind of 3 years plus. And they've got to the stage where they're thinking that they should grow their business, that they should be taking people on or taking more people on, that they should be making more money, that the bottom line should be growing. And as my lovely friend Lucy Brand, Lucy, if you're ever watching this is total credit to you. As my friend Lucy always says, once you start shoulding all over your business, it's time to take a good hard look at things. Because there is no should. There shouldn't be any should in your business. The way that I work is all about getting life, your design for your life, in line with your design for your business, so that they're both aligned, so that your business or your work is providing the life that you want for yourself, not the other way around. It quite often works the other way around, where we fall into a job or a career, or we end up setting up a business because of skills that we have or things that we know or things that we've always done. And then we struggle to try and eke some kind of a life out of that business, because you know what it's like when you start to work for yourself. You quite often become a worse boss than you've ever had working for someone else, right? So you put in the hours, it's constantly on your mind, you're not taking enough time out, spending enough time with people you love, and yada, 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 right? And so I really want to talk to all of this, and I decided to call this Scale and Polish because that's what I think it's all about. And so I've made some notes. So if I look down, I'm looking at my notes because I don't want to miss anything for you on this, because this is hugely important stuff. So there are 3 elements to this, and 2 are about scaling and 1 is about polishing. So I'll try to explain what the hell I mean by scaling and polishing, because that might fill some of us with dread, right? Because we relate it to going to the dentist and all that medical stuff. But I'm going to quell that for you now. And this is all about scaling and polishing in your business and your life. And it has a whole different meaning. So firstly, what I want to talk about is scaling in terms of size of business. And when I say this, what I really mean is boutique businesses versus big businesses, if we can put it like that. Now, there are different ways of looking at the size of a business, boutique versus big. One is in terms of numbers of people that you employ, not necessarily the numbers according to the bottom line, numbers in terms of revenue. And so a business can be small in numbers of people, but big in terms of revenue. Now, the flip side of that is that I know a lot of big businesses that have lots of numbers of people, they employ lots of people, but they're not necessarily their revenue is small, but their profitability is small. Their margins are very narrow. So, what do you class as a small and a big business? There's really some thought to put into that initially, I think, about what your perception is of a big business. I had this conversation quite a few years ago, actually, at a business networking thing. And I think I posted a video on LinkedIn about it, about there being no such thing as a big or small business. It's about your approach and your attitude to the business. So, for instance, I'll give you a for instance. So for instance, I consider myself a boutique business. For years, for decades, I ran big advertising agencies with lots of numbers of people and huge turnover. But turnover is vanity, profits sanity, right? And we used to talk in terms of billings in advertising. And the billings could be multiple millions, tens of millions. But our profitability, our margin was always really small. So we were always chasing the next lot of business, the next bit of business. And because we had huge numbers of people, our overheads were huge. And so there's only two ways to make more money, right? It's either to reduce your costs or increase your sales and your profitability. So we were always playing that game. But we needed the numbers of people that we had, so we couldn't do anything about the numbers of people because of the type of work that we did. So this will bring me on to another point later. But I think there's a lot of thought. I would like you to put some thought into what you perceive to be a big or a small business. And so I would consider myself a boutique business. After years of running businesses with lots of people like that, and knowing how incredibly hard it is to keep that bottom line steady and to maintain profitability, maintain margins, I made a conscious decision when I set up business on my own that it would just be me. It would just be me, and I would pretty much keep it that way. And I pretty much have for the last 15 years, it'll be actually this year. 15 years in April. Must have a birthday party actually. that's quite an achievement. I'm still here. And so, yeah, for the last 15 years, it has just been me in my business. But there have been some years along the way where I've had really good 6-figure years, really good. And so for me as a boutique business, and I don't have an office, you know me, I'm a nomad, I travel around and do my work. And when I'm here home in the UK, I work from home. I have perfectly good offices, in inverted commas, at home. And so I don't need an office. And my overheads are incredibly low. So those 6-figure years for me were big profit years because my overheads are really low. Now, during those 6-figure years, I had a big realization. And it was that of course I enjoyed the spoils, but when I reflected back, I'd had very little time and freedom. And they are two of my biggest values. My most important values are very, very high up on my list. And that's another thing, actually, please know what's important to you and what your values are. We'll cover that in another session. And so I made another very conscious decision then and took a really good hard look at my business and what my personal needs were, and redid my own life path design and really looked at what I wanted and needed. And actually, I'm fairly low maintenance. You might not think it might not look like it, but I'm really quite low maintenance. There isn't a lot that I need or want. Most of what I need and want doesn't cost money, but it does cost time. I do need time and I need freedom. And so I altered my own life path design, and decided that I didn't really need those 6-figure years and the lack of time and freedom that came with them. So I worked out what it was that I really wanted and needed, and designed my life and business around that. And so now I have more time to travel more, I have more freedom to do the things that I love to do, and I'm still earning what I need to earn by doing it. I'm still doing what I need to do. So point one, I would just really encourage you to think about what it is you truly want for you and your business, and what your perception is of a big business and a small business, and really sit down and have a really good think and maybe a map out about what you really need. What do you really need to cover? Because quite often, I mean, over the last year, I've had conversations with clients time and time again, and with friends actually that I know that are in business, about their ambition to become a 6-figure or even a 7-figure business without really knowing why. And so I would really encourage you to take a really good look at that and look at the why, so that you can then begin to look at the how. Does that make sense? And let me see if I've missed anything. That's the other thing I was going to say. The other benefit to being what I call a boutique business, and by the way, making the decision to remain a small business in terms of numbers, both in terms of people that you employ and in your revenue and your profitability doesn't mean you're a small business. And as I said earlier, that you can be small in terms of numbers of people at your employ, but still have big numbers in terms of revenue. Really healthy bottom line, right? And conversely, you can have loads of people, but a really unhealthy bottom line. So the other thing I wanted to say about if you make the conscious decision to remain a boutique business, I have to say that most of the people who have the businesses that I work with are, I would call them boutique businesses. And one of the massive benefits of that is that you get to really hone in your specialism, but more importantly, you get to really connect with the people that you serve. You get to really deeply connect with the people that you serve. And that is good for you, it's good for them, but it's also good for your business. Because you get to, it's like having a huge research group at hand at any given time. So I think particularly in my group, in my private client group and my private Facebook group as well, you will quite often see me posting polls and just questions about things that people might be looking for, or what they want, or what they think about something that I've had an idea about. And I can do that as a boutique business because I can get that direct contact to my client base. And that is something that big businesses, big brands and big corporates and big conglomerates would give anything for. In fact, they spend millions trying to do that, trying to have that personal connection with their clients and customers and potential clients and customers that we as boutique businesses automatically have. We just, it's an organic thing. We have it, and we have it for free. And so I think that's an incredible bonus. So that's point number one, is in scaling is about boutique versus big business and having to think about that. And if you're starting to feel like you should be growing your business in any way, then revisit that and have a really good think about it. Point number two is about creativity. So as a boutique business owner, you're likely, and particularly if you follow me, you're likely to be creative. You're likely to be a creative individual. Seems to be the kind of people I attract, and I love it. And creativity comes in many different forms. That doesn't just mean being artistic. You become creative entrepreneurs, you become creative thinkers, and a lot of the people that I connect with are creatives. But creativity breeds, it's fabulous because creativity breeds ideas. But ideas, if there are too many of them and they're not managed in the right way, can breed chaos. And chaos leads to overwhelm. So point number two is about creative chaos. And what I mean by this is that as creatives, we're often just bursting with ideas. And I think particularly when we've had a bit of a break from the business, like we have at the moment, we've just had a holiday season. That for me has given me loads of downtime, loads of headspace, and loads of time to be creative. And I am busting with ideas about things I want to do for me, for my friends and family, for me personally, but also that I want to do in my business, and that I'm just so excited to do for my clients and customers. And sometimes that can lead to that chaos and that overwhelm because we just don't know where to start. We try to kind of tackle everything at once, and we're so excited about everything that we're not really completing anything, and we're a bit all over the place, or you can feel completely overwhelmed before you even get going and just not know where to begin. And so I really wanted to talk about that and give you some tips around that. And I've written, let me see, what have I written in my notes? Yes, so brain dumping is my number one tip. And I know this is not a new thing, but it's an incredibly effective and no less powerful thing. So the first thing that I would do, and this is what I have done over the last couple of days actually, is I get all my pretty things. Things have to be pretty for me. I'm not a spreadsheet person or a list maker. I'm all about creating pretty things. So what I do is get a big sheet of paper and I get all my nice coloured pens. I should have brought it to show you actually, I might post a picture of it. And I just get all my ideas out on a big sheet of paper. Now, if you're more of a list person, if you're more organised in that respect than I am, then do that. If you want to create a spreadsheet and get everything into there, then do that, that's fine. But get it all out of here, so that you can create the space to negate the overwhelm and the chaos. Get it all out. So that's my number one top tip. Or you could journal. You know, you could get, what's that new type of journal that's out? It, you know, just gives you all the dotted line productivity journal. You could get a productivity journal. There's some fantastic ones actually. If you want some tips around that and you want me to give you some recommendations, let me know in the comments. Or you could voice record. I find that really good because I'm out, as you know, I'm outdoors a lot of the time, even with my clients. That's a big part of the work that we do, is spend time outdoors. I really believe hugely in that connection to nature, and so I do that a lot. And I'm out walking the dog a lot, so I listen to Audible quite a bit. But as I have ideas while I'm walking, I will voice record them on my phone. So you can brain dump in that way if that's better for you, if you prefer to just speak it. The next thing I would do, and I have definitely done this, well, I've already got one in place, is get a brain dump buddy. And this, for me, has to be, it's really important for me that this is somebody that's not in my field of work, because I want to sound them out about all of my ideas, and I want them to respond as a potential client or customer, not as somebody who knows my business. Because things can happen, like you can start to use your industry jargon a bit too much. You know, there is a huge thing about, particularly in the people helping industry, that because I work with a lot of newly qualified coaches and teachers and mentors as well. And I was totally guilty of this when I did all my training years ago. When we've learned something new, we're so excited to impart it on everybody, genuinely, not to prove our own knowledge or, you know, not out of ego, but because we've experienced how powerful this stuff is and how much it can help people, and we're just desperate to get it out there and help people with it. And we can get a bit over enthusiastic with that, and we can use terms and jargon and things that our potential clients and customers, quite frankly, don't give a crap about. They want to hear about how we're going to help them and what we're going to help them with, and they don't want us to use all of that. So it's important for me when I get a brain dump buddy, that buddy is not in my line of work, not in my field of work, so that they can highlight all that for me and get me more grounded, I suppose, and give me really good, and it should be somebody that will give you real, honest feedback as well. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me, that's absolutely fine. Warning, I will be brutally honest. But that's good, right? Because you get everything honed and crafted. So that was tip number 2, is to get a brain dump buddy. And tip number 3, and this is so powerful, and I tell all of my clients to do it, and I've been doing it for years and I still do it to this day. Once you've done that brain dump, you might want to separate things off onto different sheets of paper or little post-its, or pretty postcards is my favorite thing, and then have a really good thing about what you're going to prioritize. And anything that is more a longer game thing, that's more a longer term project or task or wish or dream or goal, brown envelope it. Now, the envelope doesn't literally have to be brown, but get yourself a set of envelopes or nice little files or something, and all but your one next priority, get them into those envelopes and get them filed away in a drawer somewhere. They're not gone forever. You don't have to stress over it. Don't labor over it too much. But once you've done the brain dump and separated everything off and got all your feedback from your brain dump buddy, you will know what is your number 1 priority to be working on. I might let you stretch to 2, because we can run things parallel. We're multitaskers. We can do that, but no more than 2. And everything else goes in an envelope. It's not gone forever. It's there in the drawer whenever you want to get it out and look at it. but it frees up that headspace. It frees you to get focused and really concentrate on that one thing, which will bring me on to my final point. Number 3, and now we get onto the polish. So we've had 2 points about scaling, because that what we've just talked about is scaling your projects, scaling your work, scaling your time, allotting your time. That's all about scaling the actual implementation, the doing, and the managing of your time to do it. And now we get onto the polish. So I've called this little section focus and freedom, or focus. For me, actually, focus equals freedom, because when you can focus on that one thing, or those 2 small things, and really get them underway and done and feeling good about them flowing and coming to fruition, then that creates freedom. That creates real freedom. So what I want to tell you about this. Yes. So yeah, this is where we get the opportunity now to have the fun with all of this and to do the polishing, because now you know what you want from your business. Do you want it to be boutique, or do you want a big business? What does that mean? Do you want big numbers of people? Do you want to employ people, or do you just want to concentrate on your profitability? Do you want both? You know, you've really, hopefully by now, because you can stop this video at any time and go away and do this work, of course. So hopefully if you've gone away and done that and come back to this, then by now you'll be clear on what you want for yourself in that respect. Do you want a boutique business or a big business, and what does all of that mean? You'll be clear on what's important to you. You will have done all your brain dumping and getting clear and filtering out and doing your enveloping of all your fabulous ideas. And now we get to the polish bit. And this is where you get to focus. This is where you get to really get down and deep with these 2 main priorities, or your one main priority that you've filtered out from all your brain dumping. And I really want you to try not to take more than 2 things on, because the secret to cracking overwhelm and to getting stuff done and to seeing things come to fruition is focus. And as James, if you're ever watching this, James Lavers, my mentor, as he often says, to get it done, you really just need to focus to the point of completion, to the exclusion of everything else. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to spend time with your family, and you're not, you're going to cut people off and you're going to say no to opportunities and that, but you just really need to drill down now and get focused on those priority ideas that you've filtered out from your brain dump, and schedule yourself in time to do that focus. Because if you try to grab little spots of time in between other things, that is so not going to work. You're going to get frustrated, things are not going to get completed, you're going to get behind with this stuff, and you're going to get irritated with yourself. In turn, you'll get irritated with other people, and we do not want that. So choose what you're going to focus on, schedule your time in the week. You know, I don't, how much time you can afford to put aside for complete focus in the week. Maybe it needs to be a time when nobody else is around in the house. Maybe it needs to be a time when you can get out of the house and go and find some quiet space to do this. Stick your headphones in, do the work. Maybe you can find an hour a day. Maybe you can only find an hour a week. But I really want to encourage you to schedule it in properly, like you would a meeting that you wouldn't move. And don't move it, and just use that time to focus on that one or those 2 things to the point of completion, to the exclusion of everything else. And I guarantee you that doing that will give you a sense of freedom that you've not felt before. So is there anything else I need to give you in terms of tips with all of this? No. I think that is it. I would love to hear all of your thoughts around all of this, your reactions to all of this. I'd love to hear what you've got planned for yourself and your business for the year and maybe even the decade ahead, if you've got ideas about that. I would love to hear what you think about the boutique versus big business and scaling. I'd love to hear what you think about the creativity and the brain dumping. And I would love to hear how you're going to manage to get that focus so that you can avoid the overwhelm. That is it from me for now on Scale and Polish. Happy scale and polishing. Hopefully this has given you a completely different perspective on that phrase. And I would love you to interact and tell me how this is all working for you and what you think about it. In the meantime, good luck with it. Have fun with it. That's the main thing. Have fun with it. And let me know how you get on. I'll see you next time.